this video I'm going to show you how to install WordPress onto an external web server. Before we get started, there are a couple of things we're going to need. First, you're going to need a web host. Which one is out of the scope of this video, but you can start your search for the perfect host at wordpress.org/hosting. What I can tell you is that your particular hosting plan needs to have PHP 4.3 or higher, MySQL 4.0 or higher, and I highly recommend it uses Apache. If none of these things mean anything to you, don't worry about it. Most modern web hosts will support these items. Now, once you purchase your web host, they're going to send you an email with account login info. Keep it handy. We're going to need it shortly. Next, you're going to need an FTP program. This is what we use to transfer the WordPress files from your computer to your new web host. I like to use FileZilla. It's free and it's easy to use, but there are plenty of FTP options available if you'd like to experiment. Finally, you're going to need a text editor. Now, you can use the standard one on your computer, or you can download something more specifically for editing code like Notepad++, but it's completely up to you. Now that we have the tools out of the way, let's install WordPress. The first thing we need to do is go and download WordPress. So we're going to open our browser and go to wordpress.org. And we're going to click the blue button that says Download WordPress, which will bring us to another page where we will yet again click the download button that says Download WordPress. This will download a zip file with all of the WordPress files that we need. Once we've downloaded it, we need to unzip the files. Once unzipped, we are ready to upload the files to our web host. Let's open our Ftp program and set up a connection to our web server. Click on File, Site Manager, and New Site. Now let's give a name to our new site. Next, we need to enter our host, which would be FTP. Generally, it would be ftp.yourhost, your host domain name. We're going to change logon type to normal and enter in our username that was given to us in that email that we got earlier from our setting up our web host, and the password. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to this Advanced tab, and we're going to set the default remote directory. In our case, it is public HTML. And we're ready to connect. And there we go. We are in. Now we're just going to go ahead and locate the files that we downloaded from WordPress. They were in our Downloads folder, this uncompressed WordPress folder, and then finally click on this WordPress folder to get to all of the files that we need to upload. Now we're just going to go ahead and take all of these particular files and just simply drag them to the root of our website to start the upload process. Now, if you wanted to install this into a subdirectory of your main domain, such as your domain/blog, you simply would create a directory over here called blog and upload all these files into that folder. Now, while the files are being uploaded, we're going to go ahead and log into our control panel our web host provided us to create a MySQL database and a MySQL user to interact with that database. Now, our host uses control panel. Your host may use something different, but the overlying principles are exactly the same. So we'll go ahead and log in there. Once we're logged in, we're going to locate the databases section and click on the MySQL database wizard. First thing we need to do is enter a name for our database and click Next Step. Now we need to create a user for our particular database and give it a password. And click Create User. The last thing we need to do is assign all privileges for this user and this database. So click All Privileges and click Next Step. And we've created our database and our user. You'll want to remember this information because we're going to use it right now in this next step. We're going to open up our FTP program, and we're going to locate the wp-config sample file. Now this is the file that's going to actually hold all of our configuration information. What we first need to do is rename it by removing the words sample and dash, so we just have wp-config.php. Once we've done that, we're going to open it with our favorite text editor, whatever your choice is. And we're just going to enter in some databases. There's actually 3 sections within this file that we need to edit. The first one is this database connection section. First, we're going to just enter in right here where it says database name here. We're going to enter the name of our database. Then we are going to enter in our username that we just created in the step previously. And finally our password. The next section we want to edit is this authentication unique keys and salts. We could actually just change the text within here to anything that we want, but the easiest way is just to copy this URL right here that WordPress provides and copy that into our browser. This will actually generate all these unique keys for us, so we can just highlight, copy, and paste those files right back here. The final section is the table prefix. We want to go ahead and change this just to add a little more security to our database by not giving it the default WP underscore. This can really be absolutely anything that you want, and just adds a little more obscurity to the database table names. That's it. We're going to save this file, go back to our FTP program, and we're just going to go ahead and drag this file over to our server. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and delete the sample file because we don't need that any longer. That's it. Everything is ready to get this database up and running. All we need to do now is go to our browser and type in our domain name. In this case, it's wbdemo.us. And we will be presented with a form asking for some information to set up our new WordPress site. We're going to give our site a name, username. I would suggest not leaving admin, but actually putting something that's a little more unique for you. Give it a password, and this will actually tell you how secure your password is. So if it's not very, I would suggest going until it reaches a higher level green. Otherwise, whatever you want is fine. We'll put in an email address. This is the email address that will receive all of your email comment notifications and things like that. And if you want your site to show up in search engines, you would leave this checked, but this is a demo site, so we'll just go ahead and uncheck that. That's it. Congratulations. You just installed your first WordPress site. Just go ahead and type in your domain and check it out.